Hello everyone, I'm coming to you today with a tag, and it's called a new kind of summer tag, and this was created by Book Break, but I saw it in Charles Heathcote channel. He didn't tag me, but I like the tag, so I'm doing it anyway. I'll link both of those channels below. So the first prompt is: start by recommending a book from the country you're in now, as close as you can find to the place you are. So I live in the Netherlands, and the book I chose for this is The Black Tulip by Alexandre Dumas. This is considered a classic, a less known classic I would say. And The Black Tulip, it's a short book, and it's basically this adventure of a man that is convicted of a certain crime, and it's in prison in The Hague. And at some point he goes away, and he only comes back when he discovers how to create black tulips, because there is a big fever in the Netherlands. This was real, that there was this fever for tulips, in which it was so crazy that you could buy a house with a bucket of tulips. So yeah, in that it's set in that time, and this man discovers how to make black tulips, and then he comes back to claim the prize, and it's a bit about how he reaches, and it's a lot of intrigue, and it's a lot of fun. The second one is recommend a book from a different county or area in the country. I have to say that I have not read a ton of books from the Netherlands. I have read a few, but not a ton. And I think that the one I will recommend for today is The Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Lukas Rijnveld. And they are a non-binary author and a poet. And this is shortlisted for the Booker International, I think. And it's about this family in rural Netherlands, and they are a very religious and very close family, and at some point one of the brothers dies, and it's about how it affects everyone else in the family. It's very raw, it's very gross at times, but I think it has a lot of value in what it's trying to say. So that's why I'm recommending this one. The third prompt is recommend a book that reminds you of summer when you were young. And for that I have 3 books actually. It's a trilogy, and it's Isabel Allende's trilogy. In Spanish it's called La ciudad de las bestias is the first one, El reino del dragón de oro is the second one, and El bosque de los pigmeos is the third one. And these ones are a lot of fun. They follow this kid. In the first one, his mom is sick, so the parents decide to send him for the summer with his grandma, and his grandma works for the National Geographic, so she's going to all these fun countries. And in the first one, he didn't know his grandma very well, so he was not super excited, but then they travel, I think it's to Brazil or something like that, the Amazon. Yeah. And after that summer, his mom gets well, but he still wants to go with his grandma because it's fun. So the other 2 are about other adventures. So the second one happens in the Himalayas, and the third one is I think in South Africa. But yeah, they were a lot of fun. It's a magical realism for young adults, and I would recommend. The fourth prompt is recommend a book from a country you've visited before. And for this I'm going to recommend 2, because I can recommend just one apparently. The first one you've heard me talk about already, I think, and it's The Wither of the Crow by Ngugi wa Thiongo. And this one is a Kenyan, I would say modern classic, and it's about this man that is trying to find a job when something happens in town, and the police starts chasing everybody in the streets, and he runs away and hides in a place that then he realizes it's like a witch doctor's house, but he cannot go out because then the police will catch him. So he stays there, and then someone comes in and asks for his help, thinking that he's the witch doctor, and he tries to tell them that he's not, and he just gives some advice, and because that advice is good, his fame starts growing, and at some point it reaches the people in the government. So the government wants to employ him as a witch doctor, and he keeps telling everybody that he is not, but nobody listens to him because the advice he gives is very good. So once it goes into the government, we can see all the prejudices and the things that go wrong with that, and it's a commentary on colonialism, it's a commentary on white supremacy, and a lot of other things, and I really like it. It's also kind of magical realism, and I really liked it. So I would recommend that one. And the other one that I want to recommend is The Ministry of Atmos Happiness by Arundathi Roy, and I'm recommending this specifically because I know a lot of people didn't like The God of Small Things. I did not like The God of Small Things, but this one is so much better that I think it's worth giving it a try. And this one is about this transgender woman that and in India, and she's first coming into terms in the fact that she's trans woman, and then there is also the fact that she's connected to the conflicts in Kashmir, so it's woven all of these things together in a very interesting way. So I would recommend giving it a try, even if you didn't like The God of Small Things. Also because those two books have 20 years in between, so Arundathi Roy could completely renovate herself in those 20 years. I think they are completely different books, so I would recommend that one. The fifth question is recommend a book from a country you'd like to visit next. And again, I have two for this one. The first one is Our Sister Killjoy by Ama Ataa Aidoo, and she's a Ghanaian author, and for some reason I really want to go to Ghana. This book is about a student from Ghana that moves into, I believe it was the UK or the US, but I think it was the UK. I read it a while ago, and it's just about her feelings of home and homesickness, and redefining her identity, because I think you do not realize that you're from a place until you leave. So she explores that very well, and it's a very, very poetic book, and it's very short as well, and I really, really liked it. As I said, for some reason I really want to go to Ghana. I've never been in West Africa, and Ghana is the place in West Africa that I want to go the most. And the other book I chose for this is Children of the Days, A Calendar of Human History by Eduardo Galeano. Eduardo Galeano is a Uruguayan author, and this book, it's basically a very short, it's not exactly flash fiction, but it's like flash non-fiction, and every day of the year he gives you a fact, a historical fact of the day, or social fact of the day. So I have here the one for the 12th of October, which I think it's probably one of my favorites. The 12th of October is when Christopher Columbus arrived to America, and this is what he writes about that day. In 1492, the natives discovered they were Indians, discovered they lived in America, discovered they were naked, discovered that the sin existed, discovered they owed allegiance to a king and a kingdom from another world and a god for another sky. and that this god had invented the guilty and the dress, and had sent to be burned alive, who worships the sun, the moon, the earth, and the rain that wets it. So yeah, that refers to the fact that all of a sudden all these native people discovered that they were doing it all wrong, right? And this is as I said, a Uruguayan author, and I think the main reason I really want to go to Uruguay is because of Eduardo Galeano, and also because of Mujica, who was the former president of the country, or prime minister. I'm not sure exactly how their political system works, but basically he was the head of the country, and he's so wise, and he's so before becoming president, he just was a retired teacher or retired postman that worked in his farm. And then he became president for a few years, and then after he stopped being president, he went back to his farm, and he always drove like the car that he always had, and I don't know, he's also a very interesting person. And I have a friend that has been to Uruguay and says she is beautiful. So yeah, I also want to go to Uruguay. So many places I want to go and I can't because, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, but what can you do? The last question is, recommend a book from the farthest away place you can find. I think geographically, the farthest place, it's Australia, or like the farthest landmass. So for that, I'm going to recommend The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland. And this one follows Alice, who had a fairly violent childhood. So at some point she runs away and she goes to live with this woman that teaches her all about the significance of flowers and plants, and how she evolves with that knowledge. And at some point when she wants to become her own woman, how that she applies and how that helps her. And it has a lot of symbolism. It also gives you a very nice image of how I imagine the Australian countryside must look like. So that was also really nice. And another book that I want to recommend for this prompt, because even though I think Australia is physically the farthest away, this is probably the next one is going to be probably the one that will take the longest to get to, if that makes sense, and that is Sea People by Christina Thompson. And this one is a non-fiction about the islands of Polynesia and how those civilizations developed and how they are connected to each other, or how we think they are connected, because it's still not completely clear how all these things developed. And yeah, I haven't checked, but I could imagine that in a plane it takes longer to arrive there because you have to make more stops and the planes keep getting smaller and smaller. So that's the tag. I want to tag some people as well. The first people I'm going to tag is Katie Books and J.K. Reads. So Kieran and Grace, please, I would love to know your answers. And also I'm going to tag Lauren from Reading with Macabre, because I want to know what your favorite Dutch books are. So yeah, that's all for me. I hope you're having a lovely day. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you have any recommendations based on these prompts, that would also be cool. And if you want to do this tag, of course, feel free to do it like I did. Okay, see you next time.